The city of Elkhart has gotten quite a bit of fame in the spotlight in these last few months. First as the white-hot center of the economic meltdown in America, as labeled by the New York Times, and then also as the city where President Obama came to visit to push his stimulus bill. Well, its 15 minutes of fame are not over yet. Former governor of Arkansas and Republican presidential candidate Mike Huckabee joins us today on The Harvest Show. Mr. Huckabee, so great to have you with us. And really, what made you come to Elkhart, Indiana?
Elkhart is representative of what's happening in a lot of American communities. President Obama came here as a candidate, then he came here as president, the first really major visit outside of Washington that he made after his swearing in. Brought a lot of attention to the stimulus package and what that was going to do to towns like Elkhart. We're not here to have a political debate with President Obama. We're here to say, are those stimulus dollars, are they here? And if they are they working? And if they're not, how come? And in the meantime, though, what can Elkhart do to once again be the thriving city that it's been for a long time? It's our intention to show that communities like Elkhart are vital to America. It's where the fabric of community life comes from, and that it's in all of our interest that we maintain strength in places like Elkhart.
Governor Huckabee, to parody one of the chapters in your book, Do the Right Thing, just yesterday here in the United States, we've seen the Congress stand up and enact an onerous tax on the bonuses that were paid out to NIG, really stretching beyond the bounds of the Constitution. Again, just to say, as it says in your book, dude, where is my candidate? I want to say, dude, where's our conservative leadership?
There should be concern about the overreaching arm of government, particularly among these guys in Congress who were responsible for the very mess they now act indignant about. This is what bothers me the most. These are people who wrote these rules. They knew, even though they claim not to. Chris Dodd one day saying, I knew nothing about it, as if it were written in the middle of the night, untouched by human hands. I told somebody, you know, there are a lot of folks who believe that God does miracles. Now we're thinking Dodd does miracles because he doesn't even touch this stuff and it gets written in the middle of the night when nobody knows how. That's nonsense. These people were involved in it. Tim Geithner, he ought to resign. It's pretty evident that he knew that these bonuses were built into the AIG contract, acted like he didn't, feigned surprise. It's an insult to every taxpayer in this country, and it's especially a huge insult to the people who work very hard every day, who have nobody out there bailing them out and running and hiding from the responsibilities of everyday life.
Obviously, a former Republican candidate for the presidency. If you were president today, Governor Huckabee, what would you enact or like to see happen in America?
Well, rather than borrow a bunch of money, hang on to it in Washington, and have Washington divvy it out and decide where it goes, I'd leave the money in the hands of the taxpayer to begin with. They'd never send it to Washington in the first place. It would stay in their hands. One of the reasons that I'm such a strong proponent of the fair tax is that it means when you earn money, you keep it. You don't pay the tax on it until you go out and buy something in the marketplace. What that would mean is that you would work every day with your full paycheck. It means that manufacturers wouldn't have to build in the cost of corporate taxes into their products. This nonsense about we're going to hit these corporations. No, you're not. Corporations don't pay taxes. None of them. Oh, they collect it, but they build it into the price of their product and service. You, the consumer, the end user, you're the one paying their taxes. That's just the way it works. So if we eliminated the complexity of a 67,000-page tax code, then we'd have an economy that was transparent, but more importantly, it would empower individuals rather than empower the government. What we have is an economy driven by Congress that wants to empower Congress and enslave the American citizen. We need one that will tone down the Congress and empower the American citizen.
And apparently our Secretary of the Treasury and many members of Congress can't figure out that tax code themselves.
Yeah, Geithner has a hard time figuring out TurboTax. I mean, he can't even use software to make it work and pay his taxes. This is another reason he should have never been confirmed. But now that he has been confirmed and has discredited himself and the Treasury Department and the administration by being unable to even know what's happening underneath his own feet, it's absolutely time for him to go.
Possibly more than any other presidential candidate in our history, you've had a great experience in the realm of spiritual leadership, serving as a pastor and denominational leader for 12 years. How do faith and politics interact, and really how has your faith shaped your political views?
Well, the main thing that it's done is given me a perspective on how life is actually lived by people. During that 12-year period in my early adult life, the thing that I realized was that I was able to put a name and a face to every social pathology that exists today. You want to talk about people that are going through unemployment? You know what? I talk to those people every single week that I was a pastor. I understand what it does to not just the financial stability of a family, what it does to the emotional stability of a family. If you have a father that's been working and he's the breadwinner, and in one day he's not putting food on the table, he can't provide for his family, and he's having to figure out, I'm telling you, it's not just the financial stress, it's the emotional and the spiritual stress that comes with that. So what it did for me was to give me a perspective that I think very few people have ever experienced, because you're dealing with people in their best and worst moments from the cradle all the way to the grave.
Now, Governor Huckabee, I know that there are many people in America who are really just scared of the financial black cloud that's over our nation right now, scared at what our government may or may not do with respect to stepping into the private lives and taking things away. What can American citizens do right now to make a difference? We know that our political cycle just happened, and we're not going to have another full vote until 2012. What can we do to bring common sense back to America?
I think we absolutely have to express our outrage to the members of Congress, but not just do it in letters and emails. That's fine. Do it with a vote. Next time these guys come up on the ballot, send them home. I mean, I don't mean to be so crass and so blunt, but quite frankly, there are a lot of people in D.C. that need to come home and live under the very rules they've created for the rest of America. They don't understand. They honestly don't have a clue. There's some good members of Congress. Don't get me wrong. It's not that all 535 are bad. But quite frankly, we could probably just go through the phone book and pick out 535 names. We wouldn't do any worse. Because you've got people who, if they believe that when you're in a huge economic crisis because you've spent a bunch of money, borrowed what you couldn't pay back, that you're going to fix it by spending more money and borrowing even more than you can pay back, they're not real bright.
And Governor, you've had experience as a spiritual leader. You've had experience as a servant of the American people. What made you kind of jump into the media fray after the elections were over and bring your own show to the Fox News network?
Oh, that's easy. I needed the job. It's a great opportunity for me to continue being a part of the public debate. And one of the things that I believed from the time I was in high school and was a debater, and then in college, is that it's who frames the debate and who defines the terms that ultimately wins the debate. And if we're going to really have serious discussions about the revitalization of America, how do we make this country better, then the people who help frame the debate and define the terms will have the major impact. I hope to be able to do that through this program.
Right, and to inform and educate us and get us back to a road of common sense leadership.
Absolutely.
Well, Governor, thank you so much for joining us today on The Harvest Show. We wish you the best, and we wish the best for your future endeavors as well.
Thank you, Stephen.
The Harvest Show.